Welcome back to Project 613. Today we learn 3 mitzvot. The first is talking about when a bet din, when the Jewish Supreme Court, the Sanhedrin, issued an erroneous ruling, and as a result, the community violated a prohibition of the Torah. So say, for example, the community consulted with the bet din on a certain thing, whether it should be done or shouldn't be done, whether a certain action should be taken or not. And the bet din erroneously advised them to take or not to take a certain action, which in fact brought them to violate a mitzvah of the Torah. And we're talking about such a mitzvah which is from the severe mitzvot of the Torah, which on a regular basis, if a person would have committed inadvertently, they would have had to bring the sin offering. And if a person would have committed it intentionally, the punishment would have been far more severe. But here, the only reason why the community did this wrongdoing was on the advice of the court, on the advice of the bet din. So the mitzvah that we have is that in such a situation, the bet din need to bring a special sacrifice to atone. This is called a par he'elam davar, the sacrifice for forgetting the halacha. And this is brought by the court rather than by the individuals who actually committed the sin, because as explained in this situation, it was not their fault. It was because they had acted on the advice of the bet din that this sin was committed, and therefore it's the bet din who have to bring this sacrifice. Now we move on to a slightly different topic, which is certain individuals who are not allowed to eat sacrificial meat so long as they are in a state of ritual impurity. And in order for them to conclude their state of ritual impurity, in addition to going to the mikveh, they also have to bring a certain sacrifice. And so long as they did not bring their sacrifice, they are not allowed to partake of sacrificial meats. And today we learn 2 mitzvot connected to this regarding 2 individuals who still have to bring their sacrificial offering before they could partake of sacrificial meats. The first is a woman who is called a zava. A zava is a woman. Zava literally means a flow, and we're talking about a woman who experiences a flow of blood from her womb, and we're not talking about the regular period, rather we're talking about an irregular flow of blood. And if a woman sees this flow of blood for 3 consecutive days, the Torah calls this a zava, and the Torah gives an entire procedure of what needs to be done in order for the woman to reach a state of ritual purity following being a zava. But for the purposes of today's mitzvah, is that at the conclusion of her purification, she also needs to bring a sacrifice to the holy temple. And so long as she doesn't bring the sacrifice, she cannot partake of sacrificial meats. And that is the mitzvah that we are learning today, that the zava needs to bring the sacrificial offering at the conclusion of her purification. And the third mitzvah that we learn today is that a woman after childbirth also needs to bring a sacrifice to the Holy Temple. This was mainly in order to give thanks to Hashem for the childbirth, as well as an additional offering that was brought as well. For after the birth of a boy, 33 days later, the woman would bring this offering. After the birth of a girl, 66 days later, it would be brought. And so long as this offering is not brought, the woman would not be able to partake of sacrificial offerings. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.